Welcome.
Hey.
Today, on this episode of Profound Podcast, we will be going over black. Now, the first question to get us started in this topic is, what does it mean to be black?
I feel like now, the question has become loaded because, the topic or the idea of race has changed so much throughout centuries. At first, Jewish people weren't white. Irish people weren't white because of how, mainly the Western world defined race. And especially now that, populations of people that have, blackness in them has, increased as well. It's, the definition isn't a scientific one anymore. So, when I think about being black and what it means, I think about it from, a personal lens of, what does blackness mean in terms of me and my identity? And, I think of blackness as, the generational traits that black people could, have.
Like phenotypically?
No, spiritually and, in their ways of expression, perseverance, a certain confidence, a certain way that black people carry themselves throughout centuries. So there's something called epigenetics, which basically talks about how throughout generations of time stemming from slavery, black people have sort of developed certain DNAs and certain traits that make them more resilient to certain traumas because we've been through so much in America at least. And I really use that to help me define parts of my identity because I am genetically predisposed to be more resilient and more perseverant because 7 generations ago, my great grandmother was a slave. That's what blackness means to me. It's also I don't know. It's a great deal of pride for me as well because my entire family, as of right now, we're all black people. It's so amazing because my family has also done so much in relation with their blackness. My grandmother, she marched with MLK during the civil rights era, and she details and talks about growing up as a black girl from Birmingham, Alabama. It's just such a sense of pride and I don't know, I just feel so proud to say I am black. It's really cool.
That's some hard shit right there.
Yeah.
I can't even lie to you. And I do agree with how being black is somewhat tied to the trauma we've experienced. And that's not even, I feel like blackness as a whole, even right now, even in Africa and other parts of the world where blackness has spread out, I feel like that sort of trauma is still something that happens. It looks a little different case by case, but I feel as if being black is is being the outlier in the world, created by white people.
Yeah.
It's being against the system, being something that, you're supposed to be the underdog.
Mm-hmm.
Even if we were the majority, we'd still be the underdog somehow.
Right.
So, I don't know. Do you think there's a difference between being black and being African American?
Yes. I was speaking about the epigenetics part. People that are not or haven't experienced slavery throughout their generations, they might not have the same ideology, the same connection to American blackness as someone who's is from an African country, and B they also don't have the same genetic makeup at this point due to how trauma from slavery and from pig laws that followed slavery, from the civil rights era of people that have been here for hundreds of years, from that trauma, they don't have the same exact makeup. But they're still black though. They just have a different experience, if that makes sense. But there is a difference.
So with things genetic change through trauma, if it has to do with specifically slavery, is there like a difference between someone who was taken in like say like 16 something and someone who was taken in the 1800s?
Oh, I don't really know. I know.
Like, what if your family was only in slavery for like 2 generations?
Yeah, I think it is a little bit different because, like, it's not just like a one generation type thing. I remember I went to this seminar and they basically discussed how this type of generational impact happens over 7 generations. And I've traced my own lineage, and we were like Jamestown, Virginia, like the first group of like black people to be here. So my ancestors have been in America for like hundreds of years, and so you can like trace many generations in this place. So I'm not sure if like 2 generations is enough. I don't know. I'm not really a scientist for real.
I could only trace mine back like 5.
5 generations?
That's as much as I could.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn.
Well, I mean, I didn't have records for anyone else. Didn't know how to really dive into it. So I just kind of like parents of parents and asked them who their parents were. And I could only get up 5 generations.
Like, how do you feel about that? I feel like a part of being African American versus being like a black person from a different country is like a lot of us are lost. Like a lot of us are confused on like what our culture actually is, who we are, and like I don't know where we're from. So like does you not knowing where your family come from past 5 generations, like do you feel like that impacts your identity now, or like
As like my current identity, I'm gonna say no, because I feel like it was always going to be like something like that. You know, there's always going to be a point where you can't trace your steps back as far as you may want to. And I feel like 5 generations to find that is like, it was still difficult. So I feel like some of that stuff is just some I've already like inherently dealt with before I even like really addressed it consciously. So it didn't really have that much of an impact on me to realize that most of my history is lost, and I'll probably never be able to find my real heritage, or like I know what part of Africa my people are from, but I don't know who they were, you know. So I feel like that's the distinction, and that does hurt a little bit. And then I did watch something in class today, like showing the door of no return in Ghana, basically like the last sight the slaves would see before they got on the ships going to America. And I was like, dang, my people really went through this. But other than that, I'm like, some of the black experience I feel has shaped me to like you said, like be more resilient to stuff like that. So I feel like I'm not really more so like, dang, that happened. I'm more so like, that happened, and I'm more so worried about like how we move forward.
That's interesting.
How about you?
I don't know. I think, especially being black from a majority white area and being from like a northern state, because a lot of African American history is from the South. Like, African Americans migrated to northern states. Like, most of us and our culture was built and developed in southern like areas. And so when I go around my family, most of my family's from Louisiana and Alabama. I love my family so much. They're just a different type of person, like a different type of black person than I am, being from where I'm from, majority white area, northern state, low key like detached from like where my culture came from. So like when I did do the ancestry test and like I was able to go back and back and back, and like we kept connecting with more people because we put like a lot of time in trying to find more people from our like family and our lineage and the last name shorter and like all this other stuff. Like it made me feel so much more affirmed in who I was, cuz like I guess my identity, like it needed the help of like people before me to help shape it, because when you look around yourself, like you don't see a part of your identity in anyone else around you because you're from like a majority white area. The area you're from, like you don't have a lot of culture coming from it. Like I wasn't exposed to AAVE until I would go down and see my family, and like I would drive the 16 hours to Louisiana and stuff. And so like I don't know, just learning about like the different tribes in Nigeria and learning about like where my last name came from and like how long we've been here, it definitely it's important to me. So that's why I was like wondering if that impacted you in any way.
So you feel like that's a positive thing? Like you feel like you're the culmination of like a lot of generations of people?
Yes.
I feel like that's, yeah. I would feel like I got a little something to me. Yeah, I feel like that is like a source of strength.
Yeah.
Like knowing your background.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, like, no matter like who you put yourself around, like genetically, biologically, you're going to be like connected to some people, and some people you're just not. So that is something that's like kind of important to do. So you feel like everybody should take ancestry tests,
Yes.
no matter what.
I think you should be very like careful about what you want from it, how you want to do it, because you know they have the thing with like how they store your DNA and stuff, and they might sell it. I've heard that, and I'm like, girl, I don't know
It's
about
always
that.
stuff like that. Really.
Yeah. So I don't know. Do your research beforehand, though. I would say that.
So what did you use?
I
23?
use Ancestry.com,
Okay.
and like we just reached out to people. We did the extra step because Ancestry will only give you like so much, and then you
Yeah.
have to keep like finding people that are connected with you, and then you see their connections, and it goes from there. And so like also be prepared to do that.
That's a whole lot of work.
It is. It is.
That's a whole lot.
It was a quarantine job for sure.
And it was your whole family doing it?
Mainly my mom though. She was the main one doing it.
You find anybody interesting?
This one girl, she was like, "Hey, I see you got the last name Shorter in your Instagram. My husband is a Shorter." But like there's a whole bunch of drama around like who really is a Shorter and who isn't a Shorter.
I'm so lost. What does that mean?
So Shorter is my last name.
Right.
But like Shorter is like people want to be Shorters, I guess. I don't know.
I
Like
don't think y'all could.
we're not, yeah. And so like people were having conversations with them, was like, okay, who's your dad and like who's your mom, because I don't know if you're actually affiliated with the Shorters or if you're just like a random man. And it was this whole thing, and they were like, no, I saw you on Ancestry, so like we are connected in this way. And then they're like, yeah, let's have a reunion. They live in Texas though, so it's like
Texas.
where we gonna meet at. But I thought that was interesting. That's been the most interesting thing that happened.
I don't know where. Like my family, we were in Georgia.
Okay.
That's as much as I know. I don't know anybody though.
Where's your relatives from?
I have relatives. I have like maybe two relatives in Atlanta, but everyone else is in Ohio or North Carolina as of now. From what I know, my family's real sparsed out. Like we got, it's not. My family's not really like super connected. On my mom's side it is, but on my dad's side we're like, it seems like more sparsed out. We had a family reunion last year, and it was a lot of people. To be fair, but like you don't know the people unless like you have to. It takes a lot of work, I guess. Usually, people at family reunions don't like. They're not there to like specifically reach out unless they come there with that intention. They're there to kick back, have fun, and like rekindle old bonds and stuff like that.
Do you think you felt left out?
I mean, being as young as I am, I mean, like there was always those people that come up like, I remember you this tall. I'm like, but I mean, you have to accept that. I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. You remember me? No. Am I supposed to? But like, I don't know. I didn't feel like necessarily disconnected because I just feel like it was a generational thing more so than a being disconnected thing. I have like cousins and stuff, but I don't know. The family's an enigma, and a lot of us like some of. Like, we just started getting back into, like, looking at our own culture and our own lineage. And it kind of started with my father. And it's starting to, like, trickle down through our family. But, like, nobody was really thinking about it until, like, maybe 5 years ago. So we never really had that connection. If you want to check your telephone, you can.
Thank you. Thank you is crazy.
All right, thank you, Wesker. You can do whatever you want. But, yeah, it's like that. Let me just see. She's on her phone. Okay. So do you feel like you said you want to talk about like comfort in your own skin?
Yes, and confidence.
And confidence.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Okay. Oh my God, so much to unpack. I was an ugly ass little girl. I'm gonna be honest. I had the forehead. Imagine me just like big ass glass. I'm sorry. Am I not allowed to curse?
You're not. Why do
I'm
people always
sorry.
do that? You're 18 plus. You
It's
can.
going on YouTube like
I'm 18.
demonetization.
I'm 18 plus.
Okay.
I don't make videos specifically for kids.
Still, you never know.
Okay,
So
you
can
can.
I?
You can. Yes, you can say
Okay.
whatever you want.
Big glasses. I still want Chris. Internet footprint or whatever. Big glasses, huge forehead. I would wear dresses with leggings and some ugly shoes. I wore fake Tims and I used to get capped on for wearing fake Tims. Like I was buying shoes from Payless. You remember Payless?
I do.
Payless. Like it was bad for me. So and I was going through the hair thing. Like a lot of the times I didn't get to choose my hairstyles, my mother would. And my mom, she from a different generation, let's just say that. So what was cute to her was ugly
Oh, she has
as
you in
ever.
like the straight hair, but it would be like big.
The updos, yeah, like the swoop.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the swoop. And like she would always like, I don't know, it was just a lot. So you can imagine the terror that I faced in middle school, y'all, and even like low key in high school. And it was really difficult for me because when you are trying to find yourself and people are constantly telling you what you are during that process, like it's so confusing. And my brain still isn't fully developed, but I was in middle school, like I was a child. And so, I'm not gonna victimize myself too much or like get into exactly what was said and like how it made me feel and all this stuff. But I will say, like, after that, I get to freshman year. Freshman year, I don't know. I was trying to be something I wasn't. I was trying to be something like, I was like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna wear this, I'm gonna be like the person that I think I am because that's what people have told me that I should be. And it didn't work. And I had this huge identity crisis. And like, I know this is so crazy. They're like, bro, you was 14, shut up. No,
Makes
like,
sense. That's when it happens.
it's
For
real, yeah. Huge identity crisis. I'm telling you, didn't talk to people for months. I was acting different for months. But I suddenly got really spiritual, like, spiritual, and like, I learned how to meditate. I was listening to, like, don't cap on me. I was listening to, like,
That's a real.
subliminals and stuff.
Dude,
Like, I was into it.
you bought crystals and stuff.
Yes, I did. Like, it was good.
I got them on me.
Mm.
I said I got some on me.
See, like,
Tight.
yeah, like,
Tight.
and
You got to.
I don't know, it was crazy. I started sitting up straight. Like, I started, like, you know what I mean? I started, like, dressing what made me feel comfortable. It was crazy. It was so crazy.
Y'all should see how she walks.
What you mean by that?
Because everybody they're like, Brielle walks like that nigga for real. And I was like, shit, she got it.
Like, yeah, you low-key have to. Like, basically, I remember I was told this. Someone told me you have to walk, like, straight. Don't look anybody in the eye. You walk straight, and you walk with your head up and forward. When you look down like that, like, you can absorb a lot of negative energy. I remember this man, this was high school. He said something about me. He said that I was dog-faced. And I'm telling you, I just walked right past him. I didn't even look at him. Just straight, just boom, boom, boom.
Power move.
And it was a wrap. Like, I did cry after that though. The point is like, especially when you're black too, at a majority.
Wait, was he white?
No, it was a black
Okay, what
dude.
is that?
Which we can get into that. But basically, when you're at a majority white place and you do not feel beautiful, when people don't even look at you, when you're invisible, you have to look at yourself 10 times harder. Like, and so now I would say I'm confident, even though, of course, part of confidence is like an act, it's a performance. In order to get the skill of confidence, you have to act like you're confident first, and then it will become habit. And then maybe, just maybe, like years later, you might actually start to believe it. I think like you should always start there. And that's where I did start. And like someone would say like, "Oh, your forehead's big." Like I would be like, "Yeah, it is big," and that was it. Like that was the wrap. Instead of getting mad and getting salty and acting all insecure and stuff, like you just be like, "Yeah." Like someone would be like, "You're ugly," and it was like, "Okay." It would
Because
just
then they can't
leave.
say nothing else.
Exactly. Like I don't know. It was just freeing. Now I feel free as a person. Like I dress how I want. I like I move how I want. Like I feel like I move around the world differently and that's okay. It's okay to be different in that way. If you don't look like everybody around you, that's like a good thing now. Like I used to call myself an alien, mainly because of how I look. Low key, that was like low key the gist of it. But now I see it as like a good analogy for who I am now because I genuinely feel like me staying true to myself, it is extraterrestrial in a way, you know?
I feel that. I
That
feel
was
like
a
college
rant. Sorry.
makes you like it supports being different now. And I feel like back in high school and middle school, it was more like you're acting out of line, and it was like a popularity
I so
complexes and such.
agree.
But now it's more like you're just you.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, you're not what you think you are. You are simply what you are, and we have to kind of stop creating this image of ourselves, or at least an image that we don't like. That's what I think is more important. Like you can create a good image of yourself and start acting that out,
Mm-hmm.
but you have to make sure you feel comfortable in that image.
Exactly.
And make something I feel like we do that really gets to people's mentals is we put ourselves in a box. Like we tell ourselves we're a certain way, and then when something comes along, that's why we're so like heavily impacted by it,
Mm-hmm.
because we associate ourselves with the ego that feels like I should feel this because of this, rather than just feeling how you feel or just being. That's just the real deal. And in my own experience, because I did have like a metamorphosis when I was like 13. Because I wasn't like an ugly kid. I was like a, I was a, I was a, I was,
Okay.
I could have got, the forehead used to get me. The baldness used to get me.
I'm sorry.
You're good.
It's just the hairline, like the.
Oh yeah, it's still not 100% there. But
Yeah.
we can fix that with
Yeah,
clippers.
that's okay.
But it was always something as a kid.
Yeah.
And I used to have a twin too, so we used to have to go through like that type of comparison all the time, and always be like Caucasian people like, oh you're the ugly twin, oh you're the cute twin, like
Ooh.
that stuff is just terrible, but it low key like pushed me to be who I am today, so I can't even be mad at it because it's those like same comparisons that made me like kind of dissociate myself with all of it, and that's when I started getting like to meditation because I used to be angry about it. Then I was like, there's no point, and then you just start meditating, and I don't even know. During quarantine, I used to sit there and meditate all day.
Quarantine.
That was a good time.
It was. Yeah. A lot of people they didn't enjoy quarantine for real, which I understand why. Like when you isolate people, like weird things can happen. You know, people aren't used to that. But
True.
like I don't know, I enjoyed it for that. It was peaceful.
Right. And I think people were scared because they didn't like who they were. Like, it's not solitude that you fear, it's who you are in solitude that you fear.
Yeah, that's exactly it. When you're left with the only person except like yourself, a lot of people don't like themselves, and so when they're left by themselves, they're like, I don't know what to do with it. But like, I don't know. You just have to believe that you're like, you have to be friends with yourself, really. And I think during quarantine, that's when I became friends with myself. For real, for real.
Friends with yourself. What does it mean to be friends with yourself? Because I don't know personally.
Really?
I mean, like,
You don't have an inner monologue of some sort?
oh, like talking to myself in my own head? I have like 3.
Yeah.
But.
Wait, you got 3 people in your
I
head?
have 2.
Who are the 2?
Like, one, like, I don't know. Like, one side is like super analytical.
Oh, okay.
And then one side is like
It's
really
like,
emotional and like tapped in.
I thought you meant like 2 different people
They-
in your
They
mind.
do be talking.
You saying it's you.
It is me.
It's just different sides of you.
I be talking.
Yeah.
I plural be talking.
Do you like yourself?
Yeah.
Do
I
you
think I'm a
like
cool guy.
like spending time with yourself?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think that's another problem. Like people don't like that either. Like I during quarantine, that's when I started like going out a lot by myself. Like I would take myself on dates and stuff. Like I would be sitting in the Waffle House alone, like,
The
and
Waffle
like,
House? That's ideal date for you.
and so it's like, I don't know. People are always like, real, like that. It looks weird from the outside.
It does.
But for me, like, it's just something so peaceful. You put your earbuds in, you listen to music, you listen to your favorite song, like, I don't know. And you just like think about life and you talking and having fun with yourself, like, I don't know. But I don't have the whole talking to two sides of myself.
It's like it's a thought thing because I tried to I don't know. I tried to figure out a way of thinking that would help me like get through any problem.
Okay.
And it does help, I would say, definitely. Because, like, you get to see which parts, and then, like, you being an observer of your own thoughts, you get to see which one is more rational. And you take action through that.
Do you think you're, like, a good mediator of your thoughts and problems? Like, do you go to other people? Do you instead go to yourself when you have problems?
I go to myself, yeah.
Really? That's interesting.
I know.
So you trust yourself that you can be introspective enough on every situation where you think, like, yeah, this is the right decision.
I mean, for the most part, yes. But, like, if it ever does get shaky, I do ask. Even if, like, it is mine, I do ask for, like, others' opinions. Like, I'll ask Andrew, am I tripping? For, like, the blah, 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 blah. And if he says yes, I'll be like, okay, let me rethink it a little bit. If there's another, and I'm like, it's whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But, I don't know. That probably, like, stems from, like, toxic masculinity. Not being able to share your problems with other people.
Probably.
Yeah, but I'm pretty much okay with it for now. I mean, I could always get better at sharing my problems with others. But, like, when I do, I'm just telling you information. Mm-hmm. And that's okay. I mean, I tell people, like, when it's important. Like, when it's stuff they should know.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if I'm like, I ain't feeling too good, Drew. You're like, hey, man. Okay. But, I don't know. Male relationships are a lot different when it comes to, I think, like, coddling emotions.
Yeah.
Like, whenever, like, they're down, I don't know. It really depends. It's case by case. It's really case by case. But when it's smaller stuff, it'd be like, I'm going to thug it out. And we just have to accept that.
Do you have to?
I mean, what else are we going to do?
I don't know. That's a good question. What are you going to do?
That's what I'm saying.
I don't know. I'm the complete opposite. I personally don't, especially because I'm emotionally driven in a lot of things I do. I don't trust myself as, like, not only a narrator most times, but also as someone to, like, think on a situation and decide the best course of action. So I've just gotten used to asking for help. Do you think you're afraid to ask for help? Do you ask people for help?
In what context?
Any context, honestly.
Like, if I have, like, a problem, like, are we talking, like, school?
Any context.
Like, advice?
Yeah, that mainly advice. I'm talking about advice in this scenario.
No.
And you think, like, that's good?
I think it's okay for the time. Like, it's, like, hasn't necessarily led me wrong so far. At least in what I think.
That's interesting.
Like, it hasn't impacted me negatively so far. Like, when I problem solve, it's typically, like, not, like, so holistically for my own benefit, but, like, it has some, like, moral touch in there. Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like my moral compass is really good. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. Maybe I should ask for help more. I ask for help when, like, if I need it. Mm-hmm. Like, if I'm real down bad, I'll be like, I'll text the group chat while I was feeling. I'll be like, yo, I need a hug right now. Like, I can say stuff like that. I'll be confident enough to say, like, oh, yeah, I need a hug. Mm-hmm. I can do that. Mm-hmm. But that's the extremes. That's an extreme.
That's an extreme?
That's like
ask someone for a hug?
That's like a mental breakdown. I need a hug now.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. Should it be a different way?
I just think I'm just the complete opposite, bro.
So you'll be like, you'll just tell everybody, like, every problem of yours.
Yeah, I want to see the group opinion. I like hearing other people's thoughts on things.
I do
like,
too.
I'm gonna be honest, like, even though introspection and, like, looking within yourself is so important, it's also important to understand how, like, different things are being perceived by different people. Because it like we view ourselves so much differently than other people view us. Like there is an ounce of delusion in every single person. Like everyone sees themselves through their own delusional point of view.
That's so true.
And so it's like you should. I feel like you should ask people for help, in my opinion.
But I get comfortable in that, knowing that other people
you
don't
think-
perceive me how I perceive myself.
Do
Because
you-
sometimes when I'm like other people probably like, you know, like if I think I'm doing too much because my personality is somewhat, it's outgoing, but it's not like I don't think it's too much. I feel like other people are like, oh, he's just an energetic fella.
Have you asked?
Ask people. No one has ever had any complaints so far. Not openly.
I guess it's valid. Like you don't ask people unless they tell you first. Do you think you have a better moral compass than everyone? Not everyone, but than
Not
most people.
everyone.
Is that why you don't want to go to people? Because it's like, what's the point if I have a moral standing that is like.
I feel like that's narcissistic to say, but I'm gonna say it anyways because I do think that. I think my moral compass is very good. It might not it wasn't always like that though, so I can see like the improvement from where I was, and I can say like I've definitely gotten a lot better, and that's where I can find that comfort and be like, yeah, my moral compass is good. I can handle my problems.
Interesting.
Like I'm not gonna punch an old lady on the street. But if she called me the N word, I'll probably like take her cane or something. I'm not punching her though.
Mm-hmm.
That's like I don't know if that's a good example.
It is a little bit extreme.
That is an extreme. I
think
don't
that's
know.
interesting.
It's very case by case
Yeah.
with anything like that.
Yeah.
So wait, with like people's outside perspectives, do you feel like I just don't have like that much faith that people have my best interests at heart at all times?
That's a good
'Cause
point.
if they're putting themselves in that situation, it's not like it's you.
That's interesting too, because when you do go to other people for like to help, I guess there is a possibility that like they're not looking out for you, they're looking out for themselves. Do you mainly look out for yourself? Would you call yourself selfish in ways?
Like if people come to me with problems?
Just in general.
No, I don't think I'm a selfish person.
Yeah. So I assume that since I'm not a selfish person either, actually, yes, I am, but in very certain contexts, since I am so like yearning to help people and like I genuinely want people to be happy, like that's why I care so deeply about like mental health and like community building. I assume people do the same, I've always been a naive person. Like they'd be like, look, there's something in the sky or something, and it'd be like a word. Yeah, and I'll pop my head up, and they're like, oh, you're so naive.
And you're okay with that? That's fine, really. I feel like that stuff like being naive or gullible, I feel like that doesn't really have an impact on you unless it's like major deception. You feel like you can be deceived really easily? Not just like gullible, deceived, like deceived as in like people's whole character, maybe. No?
I think I read people very well.
Okay. You do? So you feel like your first impression of people will give you a good gist of who they are?
Most definitely. Most definitely. I feel like a lot of people say that, though. So it's like,
I don't get that.
but I got a good track record so far. So I don't know.
So far? I know a case where y'all said that y'all knew, like... Go ahead. You said if someone doesn't...
If someone doesn't present their true selves, like if someone isn't coming to you with their true identity, then like I guess you could be deceived. Because I would be deceived if someone's in front of me playing a character and I'm reading them for the character that they're playing, but there's really like a layer behind them. Like I won't read people that far where it's like, I wonder if he's psychotic. Like,
I guess that takes a lot of energy, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
As long as that could have impacted you. But, I don't know. But when people get close, they can't really have an impact till they get closer to you.
You think?
I think.
I think people have energy.
You think people have energy?
I'm such a big energy person.
So you feel like
I'm
no
such a
matter
big
what,
energy
like
person.
negative energy can get to you regardless of
Yeah.
how close you are to the person. I agree.
Just sitting in the same space with someone with negative energy, it can drain you emotionally
I get that.
and mentally. And I feel like people have different energies, just their normal selves. And I think that's what draws and pushes me away from certain people. Like if I see you and like your energy is always bad or it's always very dull, then like, or just that's the vibe that I'm getting, then like I probably won't be compelled to be around you as much.
So do you believe in like projecting your own energy? Do you like consciously do that?
What do you mean?
Like when you walk in a room, do you like, I'm filling this room with all my energy right now?
No, I always love to make sure that my energy is good. So I'm not a hypocrite when I say like I don't like her energy, because I've noticed that like lately that I've been getting more like your energy is really good, which I think that's the most like nice, loving compliment that anyone could ever give a person, is that you have good energy. And I've been getting that lately, and I think it's because I really try to exude like welcoming, like peaceful energy. Well, peaceful is a stretch. I'm not a peaceful person, but like welcoming and warm energy.
I'll give you that. I don't know about the peaceful. It's really chaotic.
Okay.
But my energy is chaotic too. But I take pride in that.
I think you have a good energy.
You think so?
Hmm?
It's not chaotic? It's definitely chaotic.
Well, yes, that too.
I love to hear it. I take pride in that though. I hate being like, even though like I had some coming out tomorrow about society, but like I was talking about how like society's a cup, and like you can think you're in the cup and you start like going against society, like you're acting different because you're going against a societal standard, but either way you're still like conforming to society because you're doing it in reference to it. So even though I'm like kind of, I don't feel like I'm necessarily doing that, but to some extent I am. I'm still comfortable doing it.
Do you pride yourself on being different?
Different than the whole of our populace? I'd say so. I feel like all of us should. I feel like we should like strive to have our own individual identity. I feel like that's very important.
Interesting.
Or do you feel like there should be like a connectedness?
Yeah, I think so.
I do to some extent.
Like you.
But you have to have
Here's
the
the vibe
individual
that you're
too.
giving. You give like you guys, you didn't even listen to him before me. Like I was so different. I was one of his first fans. Like
That's what I'm
you
giving?
didn't.
I don't do
yeah,
that.
because like you're just so different. You know.
No. There's only like certain people I would do that too. Like, I used to be a really big Lil Uzi Vert fan. You can see it on the poster. It's gotten better now, but like I used to listen to like all the leaked songs and such. So if somebody came up with a leaked song, I'd be like, I was listening to that before you even knew who Uzi was. I would say something like
because
that.
you're different.
That's not. I didn't think that was a different thing.
That's a different.
I don't do that in most things, but like with something like that, then I will. Do you feel like I would do that in most case scenarios? Like
Or
what?
you'd be like, I feel like you purposefully go against the
Like
norm.
play devil's advocate?
Yeah, but also just in general, like you just be like, no, I can't do that. That's what everyone's doing right now.
Oh no, I'm not like that.
I feel like you would.
I'm conscious enough to go not do that, but I know people like that.
Yeah. and
That'll
those
be
people
like,
are
I'm not
annoying.
doing this. You're expecting me to do this. Like one time, this dude was at line dancing and he said, "I hate being told what to do. I'm leaving." I was like, see, I'm never doing something like that. I can be like, I can flow. I can flow with certain energies. I'm not going against, because that takes energy to go against all the time.
That's true.
But getting that vibe is crazy. Like if everybody said they like canes, I would be like, I don't like canes. Bro.
Or you'd be like, nah, it's overhyped. Like I'm not really fucking with canes. Messing with canes like that.
I'll defend it to the death. I had a like a debate with Ryan on the third yesterday. I was in his room with Fanuel, and he told me that he had a McRib from McDonald's. and I was like, bro, what? And he was like, bro, what do you eat? I said, I'll go to Cane's.
I didn't know
I
people ordered
said, I'll mess up some Cane's. And then we got in the whole debate. I was like, what even is a McRib? I was like, McDonald's is one of the most heavily advertised things, and I haven't heard of a McRib once. That's how you know you're eating donkey meat. And he was like, we just kept going back and forth. It was all fun, though. But I must, like, if I like to have my own desires. Like, I don't like to be swayed. So if I like something, I'm going to say I like it. And if I don't, I'm just going to not. But it's not like I'm actively going to be like, I don't like that. Like, I'm not going to project that on others. I'm not going to be like, you shouldn't eat that because that, like vegans, like, they'll be like, you know, that's really bad for you.
Yeah.
Who cares? It's not you. How about you?
I used to really, I was like, yeah, like, I'm so quirky, I'm so different. I'm so like, oh, I'm not like other girls. That's, in my opinion, I think that whole thing is like a trauma response. Like, when you're pushed and you're othered for so long, you try to start to take pride in it, but like the pride. Anyways, but yeah, like the pride becomes like almost like this crazy warped perception of like reality where you're just like, you're acting just to be different because you're already like, well, it's not like I'm the same, so I'm so different, I'm so but we're as humans, like, we're all the same in a way. Like, no one's that different.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying. Like, you're in a cup no matter what. You can only move so much. And I feel like and I was like, what if we take away the cup? I was like, what if we take away society? And I was like, then people wouldn't be able to be defined.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't have, like, any definition.
Yeah,
people would just be
no different. Or the same.
There wouldn't be any difference between different and the same.
Yeah.
You would just be. I think that would be so great.
That would be cool. That would be cool.
But we wouldn't know what that would be like, really.
No.
Okay. So, let's move on to, how do you feel about black beauty or black love? Whichever one you want to talk about first.
Let's talk about some black love.
Okay.
Because I've been going through it lately, y'all. Like, you know? And so I feel like with the state of the black community right now, like, the idea of black love has become so soiled and so, like, it's sort of become, like, warped in a way. Where, like, I feel like since we just defined blackness in the beginning, and the sense of trauma is so deeply connected, especially within African American communities, with blackness, black love, therefore will always have some sort of trauma connected to it. And after my recent experience with love, I believe that that's unfortunately true. But I think that's a part of what makes black love so beautiful, is the almost like the way that we as black people are constantly experiencing violence, but we find like love within it and we work so hard to nurture it. That's why, like, discussions on Twitter, like, oh, if his mom's in the car, like, are you sitting in the back or are you gonna make her get out her seat and you can sit in the front?
Which one are you doing?
I'm sitting in the back.
Okay.
Because my mom would sit in the front. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But or like, oh, who should pay on the date? God, the date discourse on Twitter, like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, who should pay for a date? What's an appropriate place to go on a date? Like, oh, is he cheap for this? Is he cheap? Da 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 da. Like, even though I see that discourse is like, it low-key goes nowhere. Like, we've been having the same conversations for years. As long as I've had Twitter, I've seen at least one post a week talking about some dusty dude or some, like, raggedy woman. Like, you know, I think black people are doing that because we want love. Like, black people want to see, since we haven't seen ourselves represented in the normal mediums of, like, love and, like, your typical love story, like, we're looking for that. And people are looking for it on Twitter, I guess. You know? That was a whole lot of nothing.
No, that was a whole lot. I feel like the love, the love that's, like, portrayed by the media is very conditional. I feel, or it's portrayed as unconditional, or it's like that's like kind of the goal. and we try to like replicate that, and then we find out that a lot of love is conditional, and especially like when you try, when you're like forcing love. I feel like real like it's like fish love. You're like the man loves the fish not because it's a fish, but because it supplies himself with nutrients. Like you like the way that people make you feel, or you like what someone does for you, and that's why you love them. And I feel like love should be more like taken aback. It should be more like accepting the person holistically, regardless of what they do. Like if they did nothing for you, you'd still love them. I feel like that's kind of what we should strive for. But that really just depends on the people. I don't think people are necessarily ready for that, because we romanticize love as something like you're always gonna be benefiting from, or you're always gonna like get pleasure, like be feeling good or happy from. And they have to accept like the negative aspects of it and realize that that's a part of love too.
Do you think like there's a line though? Like
Between what?
do you think like between the negative aspects of love and just downright toxicity?
Yes, definitely.
But where
there's
is
a
it
line.
though?
I say when you lose respect for the other person and you start going beyond that line of respect. Like if you
That's
hit
interesting.
hidden, I mean, you can yell, but I feel like if you're coming at someone's entire identity, I don't think you should ever like be coming at for your identity. I feel like something like that, like trying to put a label on somebody, I feel like that's manipulative. So I'd say that's probably the line I would draw between love and or negative love and toxicity. How about
That's
you?
interesting. I don't know. Mine is so convoluted because in the situation where I fell in love, I was also the toxic person. And so even though I don't believe that I did anything disrespectful or like I would never raise my voice, you know, I would never say your mama's a hoe or something crazy.
Wow.
Like it was still toxic though. So I feel like
I
that's
get
not
that.
really.
Now when you put it like that,
Mm.
there's definitely that's like a external expression of toxicity. Because toxic can definitely just be not saying anything at all.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Do you think love between black people is different from other races? Or do you think like that's just a concept, a myth that we sort of made?
It's definitely not a myth. Because it's like I don't want to say it's like easier to find commonality, but it's like something that definitely keeps you together, because that perseverance is gonna make you feel like your love is more worthwhile than any other ordinary kind of love. So I think it should be like that. But back on the toxicity. Now that when you put it like that, it's like I don't know where I draw the line now.
Yeah.
Because there's definitely been times where I've been toxic.
Right.
Like victimizing myself and acting like I wasn't wrong.
Mm-hmm.
That's definitely a toxic thing to do. So I don't know. I guess when you start manipulating, maybe
Okay.
that's when it becomes toxic.
Okay. That's valid because yeah. Like you said that. I don't know. It's like, I guess anything can be toxic. Like anything can become toxic, right? But like, what if your intentions are like pure and like your intentions are good? Does that change it, or is it like no, like toxic is toxic? A toxic behavior is a toxic behavior.
I feel like that depends on the person receiving it.
Like they get to decide.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Well,
See,
if it's a
complicated.
toxic behavior, then I feel like they can decide. But if it's a normal behavior, I don't think that. I feel like that's their own connotation on something that's normal.
Mm.
Like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, if I hit jumping jacks in the living room, and then my girl was like, "Nigga, that's toxic," because something about I don't know, some random like, because you can make anything really negative. Like you can be like,
That's true.
you're making me scared or something
Mm-hmm.
something like that. So I don't know.
That's true. I don't know. Because, like, I feel like the reason I think black love is different, for me specifically, like, my blackness, once again, because you can't run away from race, like, it fell into the relationship in an idea of, like, there was insecurities of, like, regarding race, and then there was also the aspect of, like, when, as I describe, like, my background, you're not used to being loved in any way, shape, or form. You don't get love from the media, you don't get love from the people around you. You're seen as invisible. You never had a chance to, like, practice what it's like to love and be loved. And so you get into this, and it's just filled with, like, does this person, why be here right now? Especially because as a black woman specifically, it's like a lot of just dating in general is like the first question is, do they even like black girls? Do they even like dark skinned girls?
That's like with black men too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like that's a problem with. I see it too often, and I can see like how that gets disappointing, because I would definitely be disappointed if black girls like I don't even know if I like dark skinned guys.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but some people like the fetishization of light skinned people is different.
Yeah.
But like if they cut off black people in general, I would definitely be like, that's so weird.
Mm-hmm.
Like when black boys say like, oh yeah, my preference is white girls. Like I just lose a certain
Yeah.
level of respect for that person, like holistically.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can't look at you the same.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know what it's out of either.
Yeah.
Cause like I don't think it's out of fear. I don't think they're comfortable enough in their own skin.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think it is.
Yeah.
How about you? What do you think?
I agree. Self-hatred. But the thing is, like, it's hard for me to be fully understanding because, like, I hated myself too. Like, we just went over this. Like, so why is your self-hatred so, like, so visceral and so deafening, but my self-hatred is so, like, internalized, and it is only, it only impacts me. You know, it's like, dang. Yes, I see that you hate yourself and, like, oh, I'm sorry. But what does that have to do with me? Why are you hating on me because of it?
Good point.
Yeah.
I feel like that's another male thing.
Yeah.
Because we aren't able to internalize our own self-hatred or realize when we're hating
That's
on
true.
ourselves, so we start projecting it into our environment.
That's true. That's a great point, actually. The toxic masculinity.
Do you feel like that's something that people are ever going to get over? I don't think so either.
Not in this world.
I don't think so either. It's too, I wouldn't say, it's definitely too reinforced.
Yes.
Because for like something like toxic masculinity to fully disperse, you need like help from both sides.
Mm-hmm.
You need women who are okay or like open to hearing vulnerability from men.
Mm-hmm.
You need men who are openly vulnerable to women, and that's just like you have to make the choice to be vulnerable, and a lot of people aren't making that choice.
And that was like another issue. It's like, as a black woman, as we just discussed, like you have to have defenses up, and even in a thing that feels secure, it's hard to still bring those defenses down because you trained and you built them up for so long.
Right.
Like, I don't know. And I think that's the defense part is really what makes, in my opinion, black love different. Is that, like, there are, like, literal years and generations and livelihoods of defensive behaviors and, like, all of that. And you go into a relationship, a situationship with these walls, and it's hard to communicate like that.
Especially if you aren't really perceptive of the walls that are there. You just feel like you're being you.
Yeah. Like, you don't know. And that's why you ask for help. you know?
All right, dude. I told you I get to it when I need to.
Mm-hmm.
We get to the help when we need to.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I need help in school, I'm never above asking questions.
Okay.
Like I'm okay, like I don't feel stupid asking questions. Unless there are dumb questions though.
That's good. Because I feel stupid when I ask questions. Like, I just be like, I'm going to keep it to myself.
Bro, what do you be asking?
Are you trying to say something right now?
No, I'm trying to think of so. You definitely asked me a question where I was like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah, I don't know.
But I don't remember.
I don't know either. But the point is that, I don't know. In like a classroom, I would not ask questions. But it's mainly because I'm like respectful of people's time. I'm like, bro, I don't want to.
Well, that's like a self-value thing because you feel like your time isn't as valuable, or isn't as valuable as other people's.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, that's some.
yeah. I don't know.
Do you feel
Maybe-
like if you ever healed from all these like traumas and experiences that you would still have your identity?
Wow. That's actually a great point. It's. Damn. Yeah, like, I don't know, actually. I don't think I'll ever be fully healed. And I feel like that's a part of the human journey.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I read this thing about how humans don't actually want to be content with life. They just want to keep chasing said content. Like, they want to just keep striving towards it and get closer and closer. But, like, humans don't actually, like, feel good when they're there.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's how it is with the healing journey. Like, it's not linear, A, and B, the line goes to infinity. Like, it does not, shout out math 1148 and behavior, but like, yeah, like, it does not stop.
All real numbers for real.
Yeah.
And I feel like it shouldn't stop. It's he who thinks the journey is over that's truly lost.
Yeah.
Like I think that's also a reason why people are like depression and anxiety are so prevalent nowadays. Because people think they're stuck in this certain way and they feel like they can't change. And they want to change, but they feel like the only way to change is to be a whole different person.
That's true. And so, yeah, like, there is a line, though. And that's true because it's like, I have traumas that I guess I'm trying to heal from, but, like, if I just stopped and I was like, this is who I am, and I continued to let trauma responses such as anger, argumentation, might, go into toxic situations with people, like, would that make me the bad person then? Because I'm just letting my trauma impact everybody else.
I wouldn't call it the bad person, but you're not the good person. I feel like that's something also I find like really admirable is people who are able to like see all the negativity in the world and still maintain a positive attitude and outlook towards life. Because it's so easy. It's so easy to be negative. In a world surrounded by things that are happening every day.
That's true.
Anything can really be negative.
That's true.
But like it's searching for the positive that I think is like so beautiful, and that's probably why like Black love is so beautiful because it's like even with all the trauma and negativity, you're still looking for the brighter side. I feel like that's what makes it put together.
Mm-hmm. So do you like believe in Black love? I don't know if you've seen it. Like, I used to be. Oh my god. Wait, let me think for a second if I should say this. Yes. I used to, like, I would just be a spectator, though. Don't get me twisted. Like, I would see all this content. Like, there'd be, like, a Black woman's perspective, and they'd be, like, divest from Black men. Like, Black men, leave them alone. They're hopeless. Go get you a white man ASAP. And then there would be the vice versa of that, like, the complete opposite of that, which is, like, these dusty, crusty women, like, they don't cook and clean anymore. They don't do this anymore. Don't worry about, just leave them where they are. And, like, it made me, like, think, like, wow, like, we're really broken as a community, low-key. And it's also, like, people were like, Black love is, in fact, a myth. Like, don't believe in it because it's not real. Like, love shouldn't be like a Tyler Perry movie where it's like you getting hit and then like you come back around and you're like, I changed.
No, see that's I don't mess with that idea either. That's like a cartoon. That's like a. I feel like that's like propaganda
Yeah.
against black love.
Interesting.
Yeah. I feel like anything where you have to like force it, like any forced definition you see of something like on in mass media, I feel like it's propaganda.
That's
I
a
feel
good
like
point.
it's the person who should make that distinction.
Mm-hmm.
Like we add connotations to stuff because of certain things. Like we think Gucci's good because society tells us that Gucci's good, and it's not like us who think Gucci is good. It's
Mm-hmm.
everything around us like forcing us to adopt that same viewpoint.
I guess the question is like, how do you not adopt? Like, how do you know
Sometimes you can't.
if
You can know.
like Gucci, like, or if you really don't like Gucci?
Look at it.
Look at it and like you
Look at it,
believe that you
imagine-
could just look,
Imagine it wasn't Gucci.
but like, can you fully ever imagine that?
Well, I'm not getting Gucci in general. I don't think anything's good enough for me to drop that much money for.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like even if I see a hoodie that I think I have to have, I'm not buying it unless I'm set up to buy it, and it's like a smart purchase, like something I wouldn't regret. Like if I bought a Gucci belt for $3,000, I would probably be hating on myself every day. Like those
Okay.
kids in high school who used to wear the BB belts and the Gucci belts. Why are you wearing
I
that?
just had a flashback. That's crazy.
There was no point.
Okay, that's true, but I don't know. I feel like there's always gonna be an element of that. Like it's like
So do you think
nothing
there's
is
hope
fully
for
hope
humans?
what-
Like for us to not be like this?
I think there's hope for individuals. Like I'll go back to me. I was the one that was toxic. So I removed myself and I said, I'll be better. I'll be better. And so I'm trying to get better. And so I feel hope for me. I feel hope for me. And I think it's on an individual basis. I have no hope for society as a whole, though, because big group change like that stuff, that's lifetimes and lifetimes of living.
That takes. It needs like. I feel like now. There's nothing that can truly happen that would like cause mass change in perspective.
That's true, because what hasn't happened?
Right. Like you can instantiate a new religion, but no one's gonna. We're like, there's too much media and too much things being absorbed for you to be like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. Compared to how it was before, where people were
That's true.
less like exposed to all of
Yeah.
it. So like they're like, oh, well, I guess that makes sense. So I'm gonna start moving towards that.
That's true. Like we're always absorbing some type of content
Mm-hmm.
at this point where like no content is obscene. Like literally in 2020 we saw a man die on camera. And like we used to see that all the time. I used to see it all the time. And so now it's like
Because you were on Twitter.
I think this is like a low key a sign that I shouldn't use Twitter for real.
Bro, I deleted Twitter after I figured out how
You
dark.
had Twitter figures?
No, like
on
I
there?
figured out how dark it got. Cause I was like, bro, why am I
That's
seeing
true.
certain like? Not that there should be necessarily regulation on that type of stuff. I feel like Twitter is a good app, for sure, but some of that stuff you don't want to expose yourself to,
Yeah.
especially from a young age. Like me and my friends, we were like maybe 11, and we went on this site called the Gauntlet, and it basically would show you like the most horrific videos ever, like people getting their heads cut off type videos, like real videos though.
That's sick.
It was like the point of it was to see how long you could watch. I watched one video and left.
Wow.
Cause what in the world?
Child, yeah. So that's ugh.
Yeah, you don't want to see stuff like that all the time.
Yeah.
I feel like, but maybe you do want to.
Who?
Maybe you want to be like, because sometimes you have to address like the dark side of humanity to realize that like, because everybody like thinks that they're good, you know, but everything that was negatively done was done by humans, and you too are a human. So you have to realize that you have that capacity in you as well.
I think everyone realizes that though at this point, right?
No,
You don't think
I
so?
don't think so. I think a lot of people are negligent of what they themselves can do. I feel like they think it's everybody else.
Oh, like in the term. Okay, I think that's interesting. Yeah, like, for example, there's a video of an OSU student, and she was just talking about how she was almost trafficked.
I saw that.
Yeah, and like everyone was sending it to me, and like, I don't know. And you always think like, oh, that could never.
That can never happen.
Yeah, but then it's like that's right up the street. Like,
That was
I guess
right
it
up- It was
could.
literally like 3 blocks away from
Yeah.
BB.
Yeah.
That
So
is
I guess
crazy.
that's true in some capacity. I don't know. A part of that is like living in delusion, because
Mhm.
like I feel like it's so easy to become like overtaken by the darkness though.
Yeah. But like willful ignorance is, I don't think that's ever too good in like excess. For like willful ignorance, you should choose what you want to be willfully ignorant to.
That's
In certain situations, you have to like not be ignorant. Like I'm not gonna walk on High Street at 4 a.m. and not be aware of my surroundings.
Mhm.
Like
That's interesting.
you have to. It's like a time and place thing. If I'm there like maybe like 2 p.m., I'm not worried.
Mhm.
Like I'm out in the open, sun's out. I shouldn't have to be worried. But like you have to choose when and where to be truly conscious and like stop being ignorant.
Mhm. That's interesting. I guess yeah. I guess you just have to choose your battles, but it's hard to know which one to choose.
I guess that's like case by case. That's a person by person.
That's true. That's true.
Do you feel like morality is something that's taught or something that's within us?
I don't know. Where do you think you got your morals from?
Probably within. Probably when I got more conscious. Like started my journey with consciousness.
Mhm.
That's probably when, because I started seeing things for like, not what they were, but like a more like cause and effect, sort of. So I think like you can teach yourself to some extent,
Mhm.
but you have to have a baseline for something. Like you have to know not to do certain things.
But how do you know that?
You were kind of taught it. But I think empathy also teaches morality, and that's not like necessarily you being taught. That's like you teaching yourself.
That's a good point too. That's interesting. I can't tell you where I got my morals from. I will tell you that a lot of like, I think personality can be connected to moral, and I know that like if you see something in somebody that you like, then you should try to like emulate that in your own life. So it's like I love the way my grandma carried herself, so now I'd be like I want to be like her. Da 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 da. But like I guess that is separate from morals because her and I have completely different compasses, I guess. It's unfortunate that I have to say that like I get some of my morals from like media consumption.
That makes sense. That's everybody nowadays. It's only
Yeah.
I think it's only dangerous when it's not like actually your morals. It's you thinking of your morals. Like when people absorb like the healing your inner self type, because that's like common now.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people do it in practice, but they're not like actually learning from it.
Yeah.
I feel like they think they're doing something, so they think they're a certain way, and then something's gonna come along and it's gonna shake their whole entire existence up. I feel like you have to be real careful and delicate with stuff like that, and it takes time.
Mhm.
And people try to like. I feel like with the widespread, it's like so. I'll meditate for a week and now I'm all better.
Mhm.
And I feel
Yeah.
like that's like not
Like I'm changed.
true. I'm a changed man.
Do you think every moral like idea and compass is valid?
No. Like I don't think there's one moral compass.
Mhm. But you don't think they're all valid?
Valid. No.
Yeah.
Because, like, if Jeffrey Dahmer said he had morals, then, like, what are you going to say?
That's true.
If he said my moral compass didn't tell me to do that, then
That's
obviously
true.
he had a bad moral compass.
like how far does it go though? So like
Where's the line
you have
between bad and
yeah, and it's like you have people that are like I'm like an incel,
when
and
you
like
can't be aware of your impact? Is that's when morality gets bad.
when you impact other people.
Yeah, and you're not aware that what you're doing is. Well, maybe Jeffrey knew he was wrong. What? So wait, I don't know.
I don't
It has to be like compelling enough to stop you from doing.
to stop you from okay.
That's what good moral compasses would do, right?
I guess. I don't know. Because I'm thinking about it like, okay, you have the incels. And that in itself, I think that's like a moral ideal about like, not just the definition of incel, but like how they like literally go about life and how they view the world and like how they view what the world should be. And then you have like the incels that hate crime, women, and those are like the bad ones. But like, does that mean that the ones that don't actively murder and hurt women aren't bad as well?
That's what I'm saying.
Same thing with
Morality
like
has to
racism.
be, everything's a case by case.
Mm.
I feel like maybe it's not. I feel like once it's like if you're looking at the leaves of a tree too heavily, you're missing the tree. You look at the tree too heavily, you miss the forest. So I feel like if we focus too much on the detail, we're losing a lot of the structure. But if we look at only the structure, we're losing detail. So we have to find some sort of middle ground. But that's really hard to do.
That's interesting. That is hard. Yeah, it's hard to know like what morals to adopt and keep because, as I said, if you're getting a lot of your morals from media, as like first of all, a lot of media is bad, and as you said, like it's a propaganda tool, and it can be used to like media wants to influence you, and so it's you have to choose what you are influenced by, and I guess that comes from like what you're taught, and I guess yeah, like what you said, everyone has a baseline, like. I started getting into like theory and a bunch of other things from a baseline of like this is who I am and this is who I was raised by. So I guess it starts there.
I feel that. Just for a final question, and just to tie it back into Black people, do you think that there's that Black identity is negative right now, and if so, how can we reestablish it?
I think as long as Black people are living, I don't think the Black identity can ever fully be encompassed as negative, because simply our existence here goes against, like, it's symbolic. Like, me sitting at OSU's campus is symbolic and impactful and powerful, and so that's a positive. I think once like a thing to help maybe mend some of the negative parts of our community and our identities as Black people is like sort of getting out of our own ways, going back to community instead of like letting the Western ideal of individualism like hoard our minds and forget how close we all are as people. And I think after we stop arguing about who should pay on the date and if his mom should sit in the back of the car, and we stop arguing about, oh, her wig looks bad, I can see the lace, oh, you should always have this done and you should always look like this, and you shouldn't wear your bonnet, and all of this stuff. I think
I used to hate that, bro.
yeah, the bonnets. Oh my god.
You can't wear your do-rag out in public.
Yes, it's not a good look. Yes, once we stop doing that, I think we'll start moving towards a good path.
I feel that. Give her a hand, y'all. Nice job. Any closing remarks?
No, sir.
When one engages on the journey of self, they must at first realize what the self is. And the self in this